Hello, my name is Alice Wheaton, and it's a pleasure to work with Western Egg in order to develop their sales processes and system, and then to take it online so that when you're in your hotel room or when you've got some free time during the week, then you're able to go back and review the concepts and review the content and modify that to your own use. I want to say, in the process of selling, there are two things that count. There's your personality and also the principles. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to adhere to the principles, but by all means use your personality in order to execute on those principles. And everything I teach you in now and the subsequent workbooks and the subsequent videos will have a high degree of logic and reason to follow. I promise you that you're not going to have a whole bunch of soft skills and rhetoric blown up your pant leg, because everything is measurable that we do. So in the process of doing these videos, they're being filmed in my own studio, in my own office. So if you hear a cat meow or a dog bark, I probably will smile, but I will ignore it, and so I invite you to do so too. Because I rescue animals, so there's usually a few around. So I want to talk first today about the first video. It's Sales 101, really. And it's about the concept of the four groundings of any business, whether it be the business of Western Egg itself or whether it be your clients, your farmers. So the four quadrants of business is the top line. Top line is a business that comes in. And then the people are going to be the people that help this business work. The people that do the work, the people that make the decisions. And of course, these people, the more skills they have, the better morale they have, the more knowledge they have, the better decisions that they make. Then there's the production, it's the quality and efficiency. Now, farmers work hard. And what Western Egg does, as I understand it, is to provide a process, to provide some metrics to show them that on this part of the field, if you apply this product, you will increase your quality and the quantity that you receive, and therefore your efficiency will increase. And of course, the idea, of course, is to have bottom line, to have money left over so that you can reinvest into new services and new products, and also money to keep. Now, having gone through this, you know that they can get new business from your new areas, or they can get more business from their existing areas. Some of your clients will want to go out and buy new acreages, and they get more business from that. But some of your clients, and I bet you most of them, will want to get more yield from the current acreages that they have. And so, what would it be like if you were able to draw this quadrant when you're talking to your prospects, and to actually have a conversation with them about these 8 areas and get them to quantify, yes, on a scale of 1 to 10, I want new business from new areas, 0. I don't want to be buying new acreages. Okay, fair enough. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how interested are you in getting more business from your existing acreages? That's the key. And I bet you a lot of them would say, yeah, I'm interested, but I'm doubtful. Or I'm interested, tell me more. I'm interested, but so does everyone else tell me that. But the point is that this is the point of discussion. This is the point of discussion. And so, what I want you to be clear on is that it's easier than you think to have this kind of robust conversation with your client in the first 10 minutes. But what happens to most people is that they have a high degree of fear, doubt, and insecurity when they're in the buying process. I'm going to take this flip chart off now. And you have this in your module, you have this in your workbook, so you'll see it again. When it comes to communicating with our clients about growing their business or using new technology to get more out of their current acreages, Oftentimes people are shy or unable to have that robust conversation. And so this is a model that I've drawn to show you what that looks like. So some people are extremely agreeable. Some people are extremely aggressive. The idea is to be solid in the middle, to be assertive. And so a while ago, many years ago, I was in the printing business, and what I learned in printing is that between black and white are 256 shades of gray. Maybe the same exists between dawn and dusk. There's 256 shades of light. I don't know that, but between black and white are 256 shades of gray. So let's assume that extremely, extremely, extremely introverted and agreeable, you're at a 001. And the aggressive, those are the people who want what they want when they want it, and they don't care for other people's thoughts, feelings, or circumstances. They just go after whatever they want. And so those are the aggressive. And gratefully, there's few people who are either end. Most people are around, they circle around the aggressive, or the assertive rather, to some extent or another. So what do we need to do to move away from that? One of the key areas, and it sounds like it's cheating, but it's not, one of the best ways to move from agreeable, and that's most of the people that I work with are on some continuing of the agreeable to the assertive. And most feel that they are too agreeable. Most feel that they're shy and they don't want to force themselves on a client. They don't want to, if the client wanted something, they'd call us, they have that attitude. And most would like to move ever so quietly and gently and easily towards assertive. And that's a good idea, because when you're able to move to assertive, you're actually able to ask for what you want. You're actually able to communicate your ideas to your client and hope that they will respond. But if they don't respond, you have that degree of assertiveness where you can ask the next question and say, you know, I noticed that you're not responding to this technology that I'm speaking with you about. Is there something on your mind that you should tell me? And someone might say, yeah, well, I've had 4 or 5 other companies tell you that I can increase my yield, and all I do is spend money and not get any difference. And so then that's an objection. And we're going to spend an entire 40 minutes in a video later on with how to deal with each one of the objections that you get that are customized to you and your circumstances. But that's an objection, and then typically what happens is that people circle back to agreeable. And they say, oh, okay, thank you, well, and they gather their information together and they leave. Someone who is more assertive will be able to stand there in their own circle of power, however that is, while the client gives objections. Somebody who's over in the aggressive state would make that person wrong. They would just be telling them how they just don't know what they're talking about and so on. Well, that's not agreeably good either, but neither is the highly agreeable. So the challenge is how do we move from agreeable to assertive? And the answer is easier than you think. It's because we can use a specific kind of questions. Those questions, no matter what the clients say, will help you stay in the game. And so one of the fastest ways and the best questions is simply to say, tell me more. No matter what objection, and this is, again, we're talking about Sales 101, if the client gives you a nasty objection you can't deal with, invite that in. Invite the objection in. Ask them to say, well, tell me more about that. And the client will tell you more about that. And then you might ask them more questions like, oh, and then what? And what did you think when you heard that? And sounds like you don't want to be cheated. And the client will agree. So when it's all over and what I call the swamp has been drained, then you can say, could I give you my input and you tell me what you think? So having a set of questions, and in the next 2 or 3 videos, we'll be having those set of questions. Having that set of questions will help you get to a more assertive mode of communication. Now, what's really, really interesting though and exciting is that once you are moving more towards the assertive, then what will happen is that it'll transform your life, because once you have a new skill and it's integrated and you use it, you don't just keep it for work, it'll incorporate into your entire life. And where you tolerated the intolerable before or accepted the unacceptable before, you will no longer do that, because your skills will be such that you can create those boundaries and you can create those expectations and you can make those requests for and of yourself. Now, some people say to me, what's easier, to move from from agreeable to assertive or aggressive to assertive? And in my experience, it's actually easier to move someone from aggressive to assertive than it is agreeable to assertive. And the reason is because the aggressive people get into conflict often. So they'll get into conflict and somebody will push back and say, you're an idiot, you're ignorant, get off my land, or whatever. And so they drive away and they're thinking, ew, last 3 farmers said that. Something's wrong with me. And so they begin to modify their behavior a lot easier. And so what happens is that if someone is agreeable, our culture is all about being nice. It's all about being social. It's all about helpfulness. And that's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing about our country. But guess what? It doesn't matter what country I've worked in, and I've been in Sweden and Mexico and Kuala Lumpur, working with people from all over South Pacific, all through Canada, through the States. It doesn't matter. People are people. We fit this spectrum in one way or another. And it's not that there's anything wrong with either one of us. It's just that we have preferences. My partner and I went to an event 2 nights ago, and in that particular situation, I was really shy. He's much quieter than I am, but I was tongue-tied. I couldn't speak up, so he did so for us. In that moment, I was really over here on that scale. And so it's not like that we're going to be any one spot any one time. But the thing is that we need to be able to assert ourselves in a gracious way. Because the minute we're ungracious, we're aggressive. But when we're being gracious, we're being assertive. There's nothing wrong with that, and everything to gain. Now, in the next section, what we're going to be talking about is the fear. What fear says to us and how it stops us from achieving our goals and creating that meeting with the farmer, so that we can talk about the skills that we have and the products that we have that can help them increase their yield. So stay tuned. In the last flip chart we were talking about the difference between agreeable, assertive, and aggressive. And so aggressive comes from fear. This is the fear spot. But so interestingly does agreeable. Well, let me explain this spot here. This is called the amygdala, and we were born with it. We were born with a gland that causes us to feel fear. We're born with a gland that causes us to not want to do anything that's going to make us feel uncomfortable. Now, interestingly enough, on the other end of the scale, the aggressive people, they are just as much based in fear as someone over on the other side who are uncomfortable and don't want to take that step. The difference is, though, is that the assertive people who have learned how to be assertive, are people that have learned how to tame this fear center here. So this fear center on the assertive person is there but well contained, as you can see in that spot. Now if I could take this lid off, see, it's well contained, it's still there. None of us are ever going to get rid of it because we're born that way. It's the gland in our brain that keeps us safe. It keeps us from taking stupid decisions. It takes us from jumping out of the airplane without checking the parachute. Well, it keeps me from jumping out of any airplane. But anyway, but those of us who are on the extreme edge of the assertive or aggressive, that's their amygdala. The assertive ones that they've learned how to contain it because they've learned how to maximize the effect of this part of the brain. This is called the frontal lobes. And this is actually the executive center. And this executive center of the brain loves logic and reason. It loves to understand, okay, if I go into this farmer's kitchen, sit down and chat with him or her about our new product, our services that we can help them increase their yield, they're actually going to be interested. That's the kind of language that the executive center will tell us. But then, in full fight, flight, or freeze, this will respond and say, are you stupid? Look, there's been 10 companies that have gone to them and tried to increase the yield and haven't succeeded, and now they're really, really cynical. They're not going to listen to me. So it's at one end or the other. So it's incumbent on you to practice another F word. Not fight, not flee, not freeze, but flirt. It says incumbent on you to flirt with various techniques and strategies so that you learn how to actually manage your own fear center, because you don't want it like this. So if you get angry, if someone gives you a little tiny bit of criticism and you fly off the handle, that's your fear center. But if someone gives you a bit of criticism and you stop yourself and say, I wonder what that could be. I wonder if there's a grain of truth in that. I wonder how I can stop that from happening. Again, then you're going into your executive center. Our executive center, as biologists say, is the newer area of our brain. And it's interesting, sometimes I see a 8 or 9 month old child in a stroller with a mom. They have no hair yet, but they have a big honking forehead. I always want to go up and say, good for you, what a big executive center that child is going to have. The executive center came later. Supposedly, this was our first humans. We had this center here, which was the reptilian area. Then this is the mammalian area, and then this frontal lobe here. And of course, we all have 2 hemispheres. And that frontal lobe is the new brain that we've been developed over hundreds of years to cope with the industrialized nation, to cope with the greater level of civilization and invention and creation and so on. And yet, because this primitive center, that fear center, is so dominant, it's going to be a while before this executive center completely eliminates this, if it ever does. I mean, could you imagine living in, I don't know, Darfur or a refugee camp without the fear center that protects us? Well, I wouldn't. I'd rather keep my fear center and at the same time create plans and processes and protocols to help mitigate its effect. So what we're going to be doing in the next video is we're going to be talking about how to get your clients, how to then connect with your clients so that you get appointments, and then what objections you're going to get. And you're going to get objections, and the reason is that there are actually fear of rejection, pardon the wrestle here, but fear of rejection is not the main fear, it's fear of objections. We get the objection and we have no reasonable response. And because we have no reasonable response, naturally what happens is that we have to shut down. We have to shut down the call. If we shut down that call, then what happens is that we feel that we're rejected. We feel bad and assume that it's rejected, but that's not the truth at all. The truth is that we got an objection from the client. That triggered our fear center because we didn't have a response for it, and then we shut ourselves down. And so the next series of that, next 2 videos, we're going to be talking about how to identify your client. And when I worked with Michael, we talked about putting a stake in his own ground and going 100 kilometers. And then edging out, starting of course closer to home until he went to 100 kilometers. And he said that in that 100 kilometers, there would be tons of business for him to make a fabulous living. That's just one idea how to identify your clients. So we're going to be going into that in the next video. So in the meantime, I look forward to working with every one of you. You can feel free to give me a call or email me. My email is alice@alicewheaton.com. And my phone number is 403-249-5853. If you ever have any questions about anything that I've presented, or you're in a situation you want to plan for a call, or you left the call and it didn't go as well as you wanted it to, and some situations came up and you want to debrief, give me a call and we can chat about it. Until next time, be well, be happy, and sell lots. Bye for now.